Remember that unexpected PlayStation first-party news we had talked about? Well, it may have been revealed, and it's not necessarily the news I was hoping for. I was hoping for something relating a new game announcement, maybe an update on a certain game, maybe a release date on a game, and it does kind of have to do with the release of the game, although we don't know if these two things are necessarily connected. However, Jason Schreier of Kotaku is reporting that sources are saying that The Last of Us 2 has been delayed to spring, and we also have a little bit of an update on Ghost of Tsushima. The Last of Us Part 2 to me comes across as a little bit of a surprise given the fact that we literally had an event dedicated to announcing the release date of the game and rolling out all of this new information. It hasn't even been a month since that happened. I believe it's been a month, actually, a month to the day. Whatever the case may be, it wasn't a long time ago, and now the game has already been delayed, and I already know what people are gonna say. The general convention is gonna think, oh, it's so good that they're delaying this game, that means it's gonna be as good as possible, and that's fine. I definitely agree with that sentiment, but I don't necessarily agree with this idea of doing a big event and then delaying a game right after. I mean, was it really that hard to assess that The Last of Us Part 2 wasn't gonna be ready by February? We'll talk all about that, and I'll give you guys my update on Ghost of Tsushima. But outside of that, I also want to give you guys updates on a bunch of PlayStation 4 titles that are going a little bit under the radar. Warborn has unfortunately been delayed until spring of 2020. 2 Point Hospital for PlayStation 4 is delayed until the first half of 2020, and then Yaga will be dropping on November 12th, and that looks like a rather interesting game. We'll talk that at the end of this video. And before we get into everything, I just want to remind you guys to make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so you are always notified of uploads, and that definitely helps out the channel too, so we always appreciate that. But again, let's talk the big news of the day first, The Last of Us 2 being delayed until spring. The PlayStation 4 sequel to The Last of Us 2 will no longer be out in February, sources tell Kotaku. Publisher Sony has delayed The Last of Us Part 2 to this spring, just a month after announcing a release date of February 21st, 2020. It was noted that the news isn't official yet, and Sony didn't respond to a request for comment yesterday, but Kotaku has heard from 2 people familiar with going-ons at Naughty Dog that the game has been bumped to the spring. We expect an announcement this week. Again, this is all from Kotaku. The sequel was announced in December of 2016. It was shown at E3 of 2018, but was not given a release date. Then on September 24th, so literally a month to the day, Sony announced that the game would be coming out on February 21st, 2020. Now it'll be just a few more months. Jason Schreier also followed up on Twitter, noting that, by the way, Ghost of Tsushima doesn't have a public release date yet, but it'll also be bumped later into 2020 to account for this delay. Don't expect them to suddenly turn it into a PS5 game or anything, but it was originally planned for the first half of the year, not anymore. Okay, so from my general assessment on social media and everything, it seems like some of you guys are finally smartening up. However, the overwhelming majority is still of this notion that, oh, it's so great that they're delaying the game. That means it'll be the best possible version, and I'm sure that's accurate. I'm sure you're right, and you can even keep talking about, oh, I've got so many other games to play. This is so good that they're delaying the game. Okay, that's fine for you personally, but actually objectively analyze this situation. Sony made a gigantic deal just a month ago. They scheduled a PlayStation Now press conference just to announce the release date of this game, go over a lot of information about this game, and a month later the game has been delayed. When are we gonna stop letting stuff like this slide? It happened with Final Fantasy 15 too, where Square Enix held a conference to announce the release date for Final Fantasy 15, and then they ended up delaying the game anyway. And it's been a regular occurrence with Sony and a lot of their PlayStation 4 exclusives where they are always delaying games. I mean, it is a regular occurrence that these PlayStation 4 exclusives are delayed. Don't get me wrong, they are phenomenal. These games always turn out to be fantastic, but if a game's not ready to have a release date announced, don't announce a release date. Don't show off more of the game. I am completely okay with developers going quiet about the game and just saying it'll be ready when it's ready for a while. Just don't talk about the game. Stay out of public eye. Do not be doing this stuff where you are announcing the date of a PlayStation Now conference. You're announcing the fact that all of this Last of Us Part 2 information is going to be rolled out. You're getting people excited about The Last of Us Part 2 by announcing a February 21st release date. You roll out special editions, all this stuff, and then you turn around a month later. Come on, it was only a month to say that the game has been delayed a couple of months. Look, I'm not that familiar how game development works. I know that it is an arduous process. I know so much goes into it. However, shouldn't it have been somewhat evident on September 24th that, okay, this game might not be ready by February 21st? and we might need to delay it a couple of months. Again, it's not a delay by a couple of weeks, because that I could understand. It's literally a couple of months. The game will now be coming out in spring, so I just don't agree with getting gamers' hopes up, getting their excitement levels up, and then just deflating them by announcing a delay. I don't like it when any other publisher or developer does it, and even though, as a big PlayStation channel, as a big fan of PlayStation games, exclusives, all that good stuff, I talk highly about PlayStation all the time, I have to call out BS when I see it, and honestly, I don't know who this is from, whether it be a Sony side, whether it be a Naughty Dog side, whether it just be a miscommunication altogether. Last of Us Part 2 being delayed is some BS. Now, personally speaking, it doesn't affect me that much, because you look at the early 2020 lineup, and I'm just like, okay, there are so many games that I'm excited for, whether it be a Watch Dogs Legion, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Doom Eternal, Cyberpunk 2077. That early 2020 portion is absolutely packed, but you have to understand that not every gamer is gonna be like that. There's gonna be the gamer out there that doesn't care about any of the games that I just mentioned, but they are a gigantic fan of The Last of Us, they're a gigantic fan of Naughty Dog, and they play all of those games, and they got super excited for February 21st. Maybe they pre-ordered a copy of the game, whatever the case may be, and now this information just comes across a little bit deflating. Maybe it's for the best, maybe it'll end up coming out in a time period where there are less games coming out, and now you're talking about a 3-month delay when you just announced the game's release date on September 24th. So to me, it does come across a little bit lame, and as it was noted, with The Last of Us Part 2 probably getting pushed back to April or May, Ghost of Tsushima's release date is a little bit up in the air. Jason Schreier did note that the game was internally calculated to be coming out in the first half of 2020. Now it's been pushed into the latter half, and it looks like it'll still be a PlayStation 4 game. Honestly, the fact that it was originally scheduled for the first half of 2020 is a little bit of a surprising fact to me, just because I thought Ghost of Tsushima was gonna be one of those games that would transition into a cross-gen title, and that would make it more apt for a release later in the year around the time of the release of the PlayStation 5. Whatever the case may be, I wasn't expecting to play Ghost of Tsushima for quite a while, so that doesn't come across as deflating news to me. It does come across deflating when The Last of Us Part 2 had this gigantic press release. You rolled out the red carpet for the game, so to speak. You announced the release date, got people so excited, and then you turn around just a month later to delay the game. A little bit of a bummer to me, but that just goes to show how big of a fan I am of The Last of Us, and I just want them to stick to release dates, especially when you do something like you have its own PlayStation Now conference and its own PlayStation Now presentation. I think that release date should hold up a little bit more. I don't think it's quite as bad as the Final Fantasy 15 thing, but it's still pretty lame, all things considered. Alright, moving on from that and enough depressing news, Warborn has been delayed until spring of 2020. The mecha turn-based strategy game Warborn, which was previously planned for release in 2019, has been said to be delayed until 2020. New publisher P-Cube and developer Rare Drop Games announced. It will be available for the PlayStation 4, and again, it looks like a pretty cool tactics mech-based game, so I wanted to give that game some shine. Come spring 2020, there are going to be so many games coming out that a game like this probably will go a little bit under the radar, but the premise looks interesting enough that I do think it'll find a little bit of an audience. Also, 2 Point Hospital, the PlayStation 4 version, has been delayed until the first half of 2020, another bummer, but this was announced from Sega, and it was noted, quote, "Our community have asked for 2 Point Hospital on console for a while now, and we want to make sure we deliver a game that can be enjoyed to the fullest on all platforms." This was said by 2 Point Game Studios director Mark Webley. This means we will need a little bit more time to optimize the game to ensure the best possible experience across all platforms. Again, the game will be dropping on the first half of 2020. Lastly, I do want to note that Yaga has been confirmed for a November 12th release date. Yaga looks like a really cool game. It'll be coming to the PlayStation 4 on November 12th, and you can enjoy a 20% discount with a pre-order. The game notes Smash, Clobber, and Bash the murderous legends of mythology in this darkly funny action RPG that changes every time you play. Play as Ivan, a one-handed blacksmith with incredibly bad luck who must take on the impossible task given to him by the Tsar. All the while, the mysterious witch Baba Yaga watches over Ivan's fate. It's got a really charming art style, and I think the game looks pretty good. Again, it will be dropping November 12th. Wanted to give that game a little bit of shine as well, as it's going to go a little bit under the radar with all of the major fall game releases, but one that looks interesting nonetheless, and even if you don't pick it up right away, maybe one you should get on a sale. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, unfortunate news, as it looks like The Last of Us Part 2 has been delayed until the spring. Ghost of Tsushima looks to be coming later in 2020. We'll see if that ends up being a PlayStation 5 game as well. I initially had expected that to be the case, but we will see how that turns out, and I'll keep you guys posted. Warborn has been delayed until the spring of 2020. 2 Point Hospital for PS4 has been delayed until the first half of 2020, and Yaga will be dropping on November 12th. That'll conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.